For anybody selling their Bitcoin and crypto right now, I think you're making a terrible mistake. Let me explain why. So this chart I have pulled up is a representation of the total available supply of Bitcoin that's sitting on the exchanges. And if I were to explain it as quick as I can, basically when money is sitting on exchanges, it's more likely to be sold off because it's very liquid. But when less money is sitting on exchanges, that means more money is sitting in cold wallets and in, places where it's more illiquid. Or in other words, it's less likely to be sold off. And whoever is holding it is holding it for the long term. So what's been happening since November 2022 is Bitcoin bottomed around this time. And since then, the past, 3 years, Bitcoin has been taken off exchanges and it's been put into cold wallets and also into institutional accounts, which means basically that more and more players are in the game for the long term and they're not willing to sell at these prices. So we've went from 3.4 million Bitcoins to 2.4 million less. That's like a 30% drop in just a few years. That's crazy. So I guess the point I'm trying to get to is the less Bitcoin we have on exchanges, the more of the more of a scarcity Bitcoin is. Basically, we're going to see a supply shock very soon because, as this number continues to drop and buyers start to step in, Bitcoin requires much less money to move the price up because there's less supply sitting in exchanges and everyone's moved their money off to cold wallets. So I know, we've been seeing Bitcoin go down the last couple months, but honestly, that's fine because long term, we can see that the amount of Bitcoin sitting on exchanges is going down. The diamond hands, the institutions, the smart money, they're loading up because they know what's going to happen. If we look back at last cycle, from March 2020, which is literally the bottom, to November 2020, it went down a ton. It went from, 3.2 million to 2.9 million. Nothing compared to this. But, this was a smart money buying up. They were buying the dip. And then as FOMO started to kick in and, retail came into the market and deposited all their money into Bitcoin, we saw a surge because smart money was also selling at this time because they had massive profits. And I do expect that, we're probably going to continue going down. But also when the bull run really starts kicking off, we'll probably, see a temporary spike because the smart money is going to start selling because they're going to be in massive profits. So, yeah, not financial advice, of course, but this tells us that something very big is coming. A lot of people are looking at short-term price action, but they need to look at charts like this because this tells us a lot more about the market than we could ever imagine.